What's up, everyone? In partnership with WYTV7 Christian Broadcaster Network, this is When Men Open Up, a show where we are redefining manhood through transparency. My name is Dominique Bond.
And I'm Dexter Jr.
And the topic for today is help a brother out. Help a brother out. And I tagged you in a video on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really expecting what I was going to see in the video, but basically, Dwayne Wade, who was a NBA player, and he was being interviewed. And Dwayne Wade is about to retire, and he's been being interviewed several times because he's one of the greatest players at his position. And he was telling a story that I thought was very, very good because he's a great player, and he was in the playoffs. He got kicked out of the playoffs, but then he said he received a phone call from somebody, and that somebody was Kobe Bryant. You all might be familiar with somebody like Kobe Bryant,
Just a little bit.
just a little bit. But anyway, Kobe Bryant is a very, very, very good player, and he's one of the best players to play the game. And he received a phone call from him, stating like, "Look, man, they double teaming me. I know you're good at this. Hey, how can I get through this? Give me some tips, give me some pointers." Now, keep in mind, Dwayne Wade, when it come down to Kobe Bryant, he said Kobe Bryant Iverson was his top two players that he looked up to. So he said when he got the phone, man, he just went crazy.
Yeah.
And I would too. If Kobe Bryant hit me up for tips, somebody I look up to hit me up for tips, it'll make me think like, wow, I really am. You're good at what you do, but it's something about someone who looks up to you, or somebody that you look up to is calling you up for help. And somebody like Kobe Bryant reaching out outside of his circle, outside of his circle, to call Dwayne Wade and say, "Hey, look, I just need some help." It says a whole lot, man.
I mean, it does, and especially since Kobe, Mr. Mamba mentality himself, is known to be really just on a whole nother level as far as his thought process. I think he had the reputation as really being a loner in many aspects, and to be on such a high level in sports and being able to reach out of himself and to ask for help. Speaks volumes, and I think it's a great setup for today's discussion because, truth be told, a lot of us struggle in this area.
Yeah, and why do we struggle? We have a long list of different things, different reasons why we struggle. But very briefly, I think as men we struggle because it's that we don't want to feel like a burden. We don't want to feel needy, and we relate to that as being weak. That's we don't look at that as being masculine. There's a fear of how we may look, a fear of looking weak or appearing weak, confused, lacking intelligence. There's a fear that no one is going to actually provide the help. Someone actually saying they're going to provide the help, but then they actually fail us at maybe doing a bad job. It's a lack of trust, and you're putting something in someone else's hand.
True.
You get what I'm saying? And that's not always comfortable, man. I mean, but the thing is, doing things alone is very stressful, and it be very, very overwhelming because everything is on your back, everything is on your shoulders. But we're gonna get into so many more things about asking for help, but it's definitely not easy.
No, it's not. I mean, and many of us have grown up in that with the mindset that the bootstrap mentality. Everybody wants to say that they're self-made and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But even self-made people, if you think about it, they had to rely on somebody at some point in time. Even if you're creating a product, and you say, "Hey, I'm self-made and I made this wealth of my own." You still depended on a people group to believe in your services. And so nobody does this alone. And even if you think about the makeup of society, nobody's supposed to be an island. We're supposed to learn how to connect within this community. And so this is I believe, one of the most critical things that will help us really break up this negative mindset that many of us have been dealing with for a very long time. The inability to ask for help.
Most definitely. And the thing is, I think when we really put it in perspective, a lot of things in our life we don't really need to be doing alone anyways. You get what I'm saying? I think if we can really accept that, that's not necessarily a bad thing. We have so many great people around us. But if we can really accept that a lot of the things that we get involved in, we're not really supposed to do on our own. But it's still not easy.
Yeah, facts.
It's still, let's just be honest,
Yeah.
it's still not easy. We don't like to feel exposed. You know, when you're asking for help, that's actually consists of a lot of vulnerability.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I'm saying? Especially when, brother, I don't want everybody in my business.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And folks need permission to be in your business, man.
Yeah. I mean, I like how you said that, because that's one of the things that I was thinking about when we were discussing this conversation for today. Sometimes asking for help requires a level of transparency that you're not willing to give. From this, I was thinking of an example. Like, let's say, hey, Dominique, I needed money. Now, you're going to probably say, well, what do you need it for? Or, hey, what's going on? My issue might be that maybe I was managing money poorly and, found myself in some financial hardships. And I don't want to open up that. I just want you to give me some money.
You would ask for.
but here's the thing, if I haven't checked that behavior, I'm gonna find myself again asking you for money, and then now you can be like, hey, look, man, what's going on? And so from the vantage point of me not wanting to be transparent, I say, you know what, I just can't ask. I can't ask for help. And this is just, I use that example as far as money, but the reality is that covers, a number of any given area or situation that oftentimes we don't want to be as transparent as the situation requires. Sometimes we just don't know how to be transparent.
Right. Right.
The reality is that, I was thinking about it and I said, sometimes we just don't know how to ask for help or what type of help it is that we need. Using that example as far as the finances are concerned, the real help that I might need to ask for is, hey man, can you teach me how to manage money? I see you doing very well in that area. Man, can you teach me? But because I don't know how to ask for that help, I'm just going to be like, oh, well, I'm just not going to say anything. And because I don't want to waste your time. And the danger about this is that, you're not progressing. You're pretty much stuck in a place of, steady state of not excelling in life, not moving forward, when really asking for that help can advance you years beyond where you're currently at.
Most definitely. And I like what you said about not being. I think it's very, very important to be clear and specific with the help that you need. I always say, help me help you.
Exactly.
And it'll be very difficult for me to help you if you don't really take time. I always tell people, take time and really understand what you really do need. Identify specifically what you need as much as possible. And sometimes people may be able to help you identify what you need. But I tell people, you need to know a when, what, where, how, and why.
Exactly.
And is that the case all the time? No, but it's going to help you get what you need. Because if you're not clear, then there's a chance that you may even get the help, but it may be the wrong help.
Yeah.
And now you're going to be let down. But another thing, there's some people, they have received a lot of no's, and people just really lagging on them and really taking too long. And they build up this confidence, this courage to finally step out and ask for help. But now everybody that didn't ask for help, nah, I can't help you. Nah, I'm not available. Nah, I just can't help you out, Or I can't help you out, but then it's like 5 months, hey man, you still gonna and that gets aggravating. That gets very, very frustrating, because you done took this time out and built up this courage, to really and really put yourself out there, and now you didn't got let down. But I tell people, the more no's you receive, I think the closer you are to that yes. You know, because if you really needed that bad, you're gonna have to go through a lot of people. And to be quite honest, a lot of people that I didn't want to help from, and after I done matured a little bit and look back, I'm glad I didn't get that help from you, man.
You know, much of this speaks to relationships. You know,
Most definitely.
At the end of the day, quality relationships over quantity relationships is my motto. You know, and the reality is what it boils down to is using your example. Sometimes, just like we don't know how to ask for help, sometimes people don't know how much of themselves to give.
Mm.
And what I mean is like, okay, do you want me to do it all? Do you want me to assist? You know, what does it look like?
Yeah.
And, you know, so if I'm struggling to ask, you know, I might not want to find myself in a position where I'm enabling you either, you know. And so there's this weird kind of ebb and flow in that relationship, you know, and consequently, many of the people who struggle to ask for help are friends with other people who struggle as well, you know. So everybody has this mindset, well, hey, you'll just figure it out. And I really think that this speaks to the necessity to really start having some different conversations within your relationships.
Most definitely. And speaking of relationships, we gotta also do what we have to do to keep those relationships.
Exactly.
So I think when we ask for help, we have to be a little considerate.
Mm.
You know, how much are you really putting on that person?
Mm.
Are you telling them to build a whole house? Or are you telling them, hey man, help me with the door? You know what I'm saying? So in what time frame are you really getting them to?
Yeah.
I say really just take time out, like you said, understand what expectation are you really putting on that person, and does that really fit? You know, after you didn't had the conversation with that person, because sometimes our expectations on someone can be a little bit too high. You get what I'm saying? Or we automatically have an expectation before actually understanding what can they really provide. They may not be able to help the way you want them to help, but they may be able to assist in some form of fashion. So I had to really work on that. You know, I had to really take time out before I even have an expectation of someone. Take time out to really understand what can they really provide, how much of it, when, and so forth, and really just be considerate of what I'm really requesting from them.
And here's the thing, because you spoke about this coming in. Oftentimes we struggle for asking for help because we assume that we're being a burden. Once again, the operative word is assume that we're going to be a burden. We have to understand that people have the right to say no.
Right.
One of the
That's
viewers,
good,
our good friend Dr. Perry, he said, you know, sometimes multiple no's feel personal. It's not that it's personal. We have to respect that the person has the right to say no, and we're not going to find fault with them in saying no.
Right.
You know, because sometimes, hey, look, people have lives. You know, we have to consider what the other person is dealing with as well, and then not internalize it to say, well, hey, they're not, you know, they're not for me because they didn't help me. Maybe they just weren't in the position to help you this time. Maybe. Right. Things at the job have picked up, and now they're, you know, they're forced to really scrutinize their own personal time, and they can't offer it. But hey, maybe a few weeks, few months later, you know, they're available, and so we have to be considerate in the ask. When you build up the courage to ask, be considerate and understand that people still have the right to say no.
Yes, man. Yes. If you all are enjoying this video, please take time out to share the video. Man, yes, people do not owe you that. And I see this is the biggest thing I see with new entrepreneurs. I think they all go through that oh, nobody support me stage, you know, or you know, my family and friends don't support me. But we have to keep in mind that we're expecting something. We're having that expectation on them. And even them, as it may sound harsh to some people, but they really don't owe that type. They don't owe you that support. Now, we have to also keep in mind that people are going to support us in different ways.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? And they have a right to support you in a different way that you had in mind. And just because they're not supporting you in that way that you prefer, doesn't necessarily mean they don't want to support you. But one of the things that I see with, especially with us guys, some of us are so competitive
Yeah.
that we lose track that, you know what, bro, it's not about you competing with the person. It's about you having this need, and this person has the wisdom, they have the understanding, they have the resources to help you out. Let's get out of our own selves and really just take time out and really ask that person for help. I think when we're always in this competitive stage, it really blinds us of who can really help us.
Exactly.
It blinds us of what that person has that you're probably lacking. It blinds us of really just taking that initiative to really help someone. So I think we really gotta watch that, and that's why we gotta be careful with the comparison. If you get so caught up with comparing all the time, it's gonna be very, very difficult for you to really reverse that energy and that mindset and really just take that and say, hey, yeah, they probably doing better than me, but why not? Why can't I gain from them?
Exactly. I mean, that's great. I appreciate you sharing that. Because sometimes we don't really take that into consideration. You know, One of the things that I've really worked on over the last year is working with mentors. I serve as a mentor, and I've reached out to people in a mentorship capacity because I recognized that they were doing something that I was lacking
Right.
in. And it wasn't about competition. It was really for the sake of I understood that I needed self improvement.
Mm-hmm.
That I maximized everything that I knew,
Right.
and I wasn't getting the type of results that I wanted. And so it required me stepping out of myself and asking, much like Kobe Bryant did, asking someone else who had success in that area, okay, what is it that you're doing? Because whatever it is you're doing is working, and I want to see those similar results as well. One of the things I think we struggle with, especially as men, help on whose terms. Like we're we ask for help, but it has to be on our terms,
Right.
and that's kind of a weird situation if you think about it. If somebody's helping you out, sometimes it's going to be on the basis of their terms, and are you willing to make those adjustments to get the help that you need? Yeah, I'm building this house, but I need you guys here at 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, what if I can't get over there until 8 in the evening? Do you still want my help? Because if you want my help, then I'll be there at 8. And so now I'm having to adjust on your terms because I'm asking you for assistance. And I think once we get to the point where the end result becomes the most important thing, you'll really start to see improvement. Once again, if you're asking for help, you have an end result in mind. The end result needs to be what's the predominant thing for requesting the help, and that's supposed to be the predominant things as far as what you're trying to get accomplished. And so if I'm saying, hey, look, Dominique, I want to build this house, that's the end result.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say, hey, I'm going to be there a certain amount of time, then I'm going to accept the help because I asked you, could you do it? You said, yeah, and this
Right.
is the time. So, hey, look, as long as we get it done, I'm good.
Most definitely. I think another thing, one of the things I've been incorporating, man, I keep a journal or a notebook of the things that I need, questions that I have. Anytime I have a question, I write that down. I need that I have, anything I'm misunderstanding, something I'm lacking in, and I try to think of people that have that understanding, that have what I'm lacking,
Yeah.
and that kind of holds me accountable. That okay, you still got, you still have this question, you still have this need, but how many people have you reached out to for that? And it really puts the ball in my court. Once again, we're gonna keep emphasizing this. It is not easy,
Yeah.
and we're not gonna talk like it is, but I've been really studying people,
That's good.
and there's some people that we all look up to and we can think of right now, and we say, you know what, they don't deserve that position.
Mm-hmm.
They don't deserve that title. They don't deserve that platform. They're not good at what they do, but all those people have mastered something.
Mm-hmm.
And all those people have mastered asking for help.
Yeah.
They know how to identify what they need, but most importantly, they know how to identify what other people have,
Mm.
what other people's gifts are, and so forth. And they're saying, look, I can't do it, but someone else can. You know what I'm saying? I don't have it, but someone else does. And it's something that my father has already always incorporated, and it made me cringe when I was small. Like, man, he's always asking for help. He always asking, but he always had somebody doing what he needed.
Man.
So who's winning at the end of the day?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
seriously. So I think we have to really incorporate that. And I see people on a regular basis. They're ex, they're exceeding at what they are doing because they have the people around them. But what do they have to do in order to get those people around them?
Man, listen, I just felt so much conviction when you shared that, because I know that I've been guilty in times past of, I've asked for help from one person, two person, maybe even three people. And if, they weren't able to help, I think I ended up giving up on the thing I
Yeah.
wanted to get done, making statements like, well, I can't get anybody to help.
Right.
But, one of the things is that we have to get to the point where you have to keep pressing until the job gets done. And so, what's preventing you from making that extra call to somebody else? Because at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of us are selling ourselves short because we're not sticking with it. Once again, making the assumption that I'm being a burden to somebody, and because I don't want to burden anybody, maybe I shouldn't be pursuing this thing. And I can't tell you how many dreams and good ideas and inventions people have given up on
Mm-hmm.
because there was no stick to itiveness. I don't even know if
Right.
that's a real word, but
Well, you made it.
but a lot of people aren't sticking with it.
Right.
And a lot of our issues is that we're finding uh, thoughts in our mind like, oh
Yes.
man, they don't want to help me.
Constant
Like
battle.
you haven't even verified if the person wants to help you. You haven't verified if they're too busy or anything. You just made this assumption, and based upon that assumption in your mind, there's no action. And now, if there's no action, nothing is getting done. And so, literally, what you could have accomplished, say, in a course of a couple of days,
Mm-hmm.
here it is months later, and there was no action on
No
it.
action. Most definitely. I think, when it come down to really displaying or practicing your self worth or knowing your self worth, I think a big part of that is asking for help and
Yeah.
knowing that you need the help.
Yeah.
It's just unhealthy.
Man.
It's
Yeah.
so unhealthy to just say, you know what, I got this. I'm gonna handle this. It's so unhealthy to always have everything on your shoulders.
Mm.
My wife and I was having a conversation the other day, and this was before we even decided on the topic for the day, and we both take on tasks around the house, but she was saying, you know what, we're doing a good job, but there's some things where I just need us to do as a team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it just makes things much more easier, much more or less complicated when we're just doing certain things as a team. So we have to really understand that this is nothing about this is healthy. And if we really
Mm.
see ourselves stagnant and we really see ourselves where we're saying, you know what, I should really be at this certain level right now. My question is, who's really around you really helping you?
Yeah.
The things that you're saying that you need, the things that you're saying that you're lacking, how often are you requesting it? Because there are several other people, and I'm gonna keep saying this because we complain about on a regular basis. We be at a job just wondering why this person is at that, why this person got promoted before I did, why this person is already at this position, why is this person at this, why this person already started this. Man, it's simply because they know the importance of developing relationships. They know the importance of asking for help. I have to train myself when I'm in a room with a certain number of people, someone in there has what I need or has an understanding that I don't have.
I mean, because what you're speaking to is ego in a bad, having an unhealthy ego,
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, let's call it what it is. A lot of us, it's a badge of honor to say I did it by myself.
Right.
I want to pat my own self on the back and say, I did this and nobody helped me.
Right.
Look at me. But like you said, many people aren't achieving the type of success that they want in their lives because they're unwilling to ask for the assistance. Now, let's be honest. Sometimes people they're inconsistent in their support. Well, I would say that you have to identify those people who are consistent. One of the measures I think of trust is consistency over time. There's a saying that somebody shows you who they are, believe it.
Right.
And so if I've seen that you're consistently trustworthy, that I can go to you, then I shouldn't have any real issue asking you for help. One of the things, and you alluded to it earlier, that we as men, once again, the issue is that asking for help, we equate that to weakness, and we have to get out of that mindset. There's a lot of people who are very strong and stubborn-willed, who are stuck, and they're weak as well. If your mindset is telling you that, look, I can't ask for help, then that's a sign of weakness. As far as I'm concerned, because you're unwilling to put yourself in a better position because you're like, hey, I don't know how this is going to be perceived by others.
Right.
Somebody might say something about me, and we pigeonhole ourselves to words and
Literally.
the opinions of people so much that it's bad.
It's very bad, man, and we really count ourselves out before anyone else do. We really do. Man, we might have to do this a topic again. We'll really talk more about it because I wasn't surprised. I mean, I was surprised about the response to the topic, and we had a few people inboxes too, sharing some things. So this is a huge issue. This is a real huge issue. This is one of the biggest things that's really hindering us in so many different ways. And I really do believe that we may have to do another topic on this because, man, we just got to really shift that mindset,
man. Because, and I concur, because there have been so many people reaching out saying, look, I struggle asking for help, and much of the times is because I feel like I've been let down before.
Exactly.
And so there's people who are legitimately stuck from an offense that happened years ago, and they've determined within themselves that I will never allow myself to feel that level of disappointment again. And so I'm going to carry the weight of this. I'd rather carry the weight of this by myself than to feel that level of disappointment and trusting in somebody else again. And I really think that speaks to the difficulty, that you've been talking about today, how hard it is to really ask for help. It's hard, especially if somebody lets you down, like to put that level of trust on someone else again.
Yes.
I would rather just do it all by myself than to feel that level of disappointment again. But the reality is that you're not going to move as far as you have the potential to move,
right,
if you're always trying to do it by yourself.
Yeah, and I agree with Dr. Michael Perry. We have to learn how to rely on other people.
Yeah.
And there's some ways that we got to get to that point too. And I think we're gonna definitely do another video on this and really go over some strategies, some other things as well, because we really went into the mindset and the feelings and the emotional background about it. But we really want people to get to the point where, okay, I'm finally starting to execute this. I'm finally starting to do this. Well, this I'm reaching out to one person a week. You know what I'm saying? I'm finally starting to do it, and I'm patting myself on the back. But I mean, I enjoyed this topic. This is a great topic. And if you have any questions or anything that you want us to go over that you probably thought we missed, please comment, please inbox us, please DM us, and let us know. And you can also email us whenmenopenup@gmail.com. And if you have any upcoming opportunities, any events, any panel discussions, we have something coming up soon next month. Please email us or inbox us, and we'll look into that as well. But do you have anything else you want to go over?
Listen, if you like this video, just ask that you share, send some hearts, or do whatever. If you're catching this on Facebook, if you're catching this on the podcast, continue to share this with your networks. But once again, in partnership with WYTV7, this is When Men Open Up, and so our aim is to redefine manhood through transparency.
Most definitely, most definitely. So, in partnership with WYTV7 Christian Broadcaster Network, this is When Men Open Up, a show where we are redefining manhood through transparency. My name is Dominique.
I'm Dexter.
And we are out. Join us next week, and we're going to go over this topic again. Just join us next week. Thank you.